You are listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast with Janice, mental health in bite-sized chunks. Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Counselor. I'm your host, Janice, and in today's episode, I thought we would talk about what is the function of sadness. So why do I get sad? Why do I feel that overwhelming sadness, maybe even leading into depression or apathy? So what is the function of these low feelings and what happens in our bodies when we're experiencing them? Okay, let's jump right in. So this low feeling in our body, if we kind of come back to our window of tolerance and our understanding of feelings, right? So we have our baseline, which is our okay state, right? I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I'm not, overwhelmed in any way. I'm just kind of in that natural, neutral state. And that's kind of where we can stay the most. We can go into hyper arousal, right? So that's our joy, excitement, anxiety, anger, right? Those activating feelings. And then if we go below that baseline, this is kind of what we're talking about today, that sadness, right? That low feeling. Maybe I'm feeling apathetic. Maybe I'm realming into clinical depression. But we're looking at that low feeling and what's happening in our bodies and what is the function of the sadness. So with each feeling, there's a reason why we're experiencing it, and there's a function happening in our body to help us and to give us information, right? So as we've kind of talked about throughout this season, there's a reason for and a function for what we're experiencing. And oftentimes it's giving us this feedback that we need in order to change or adapt what we're doing or to just understand what's happening in this moment for us. So I think oftentimes clients come in and they say, why am I so sad? I just want to feel better. I want to feel joy. I want to feel happy. And I get that. Of course, that's what we want. And I think there's a reason for the sadness, right? The sadness is giving us this feedback that there's something happening in our lives. There's something happening in the world around us that's impacting us, that's not allowing us to function in the way that we want to or live the life that we want to live. So sadness is kind of giving us this feedback of something doesn't feel right. Something isn't happening here that's working for me. And typically when our bodies and our brains think something isn't happening, our body starts to slow down. So I think the most kind of common one that you'll hear is, oh, the moment I go on vacation, I get sick. Right? So um, this happens to a lot of people, right? Our bodies just naturally slow us down. So when something doesn't feel right, when something isn't working for us, that sadness kind of takes over and slows our whole system down um, because it wants us to be able to process. It wants us to be able to think about what's going on. Um, Again, if we're kind of leading into that clinical depression, then that's lasting for too long and it's impacting our ability to uh, go on with our normal life, right? The life that feels good for us. But in just moments of sadness, it's there to kind of help us reflect. It's there to help us stay in the moment and feel that feeling, right? So sadness is there to kind of ground us, to empathize with what's going on with ourselves. So I think it's really important that we kind of lean into that sadness. Oftentimes I'll hear, oh, if I lean into the sadness, it's never going to end. When in fact, the opposite is true, right? When I can lean into it, that's when I can kind of process what's going on. So again, these conversations are not for when there's a clinical diagnosis, right? Depression, or when it's impacting my ability to function in my day-to-day life, right? So that's when you might want to come in and chat with a therapist, chat with me, and kind of talk about how we can manage that side of things. But this is just those instances of sadness, right? That's the function. It's to slow us down. It's to ground us. It's to allow us to have that empathy. So in our bodies, we're slowing down. Our nervous system is slowing down, right? We're not in that optimal state, and it's just allowing us to be very present, and to release anything that is kind of going on or overwhelming us. So I hope that you find that helpful. I hope that it kind of gives you an insight as to why sadness is happening and kind of what's happening in our bodies when it is. Okay, until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts, both on Apple and Android. New episodes are released every Friday. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to join the conversation, leave a review, or subscribe to the podcast hosted on Spotify. You can find all these details on janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.